Hello, everybody. Welcome to the NobCast, your favourite football podcast. The football podcast with a difference. City fan, United fan. That's how this works. My name is Nobbins. His name is Gaskey. If you're watching on the YouTube, please make sure to leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. This is a brand new podcast channel away from the main channel, just so we can focus purely on the podcasts over here. And of course, I'm joined by Gaskey, United fan extraordinaire. Hello, my man.
Hello.
How are you doing? How are you feeling today?
I am not doing too bad myself. How are you?
I'm doing great, but...
No one ever asked the host.
I'm doing great, but I've got a suspicion that momentarily we're going to get Gaskey to rage because of the Cristiano Ronaldo comments that have been revealed in an outrageous Piers Morgan interview. We'll be covering that first and foremost. Of course, we'll also be getting into roundup of the week's matches, the final match week before the start of the World Cup. Manchester City's loss, Chelsea's loss, Arsenal leading the title charge, United clutching it in the last minute, Darwin Núñez doing bits for Liverpool, West Ham and Leicester swapping places in respect of managerial upheaval and the relegation fight, mini-games, questions from the Noblets, the supporters on Patreon, and of course, BallBusters, the quiz, the greatest quiz show on the internet. We are going to start with the comments made by Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, from my understanding, it appears that there was a pre-recorded interview. Don't know when it was recorded, maybe a week or so ago, maybe longer, with Piers Morgan. And last night, there were some quotes leaked but from Piers Morgan's Twitter account itself. So these are official quotes and everything, and even clips from the actual interview itself. And the full, it's a 90-minute interview, and it's going to be fully released. I believe it's Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, or maybe Wednesday, Thursday, but it's one of those. So he made a lot of comments. He made a number of comments about the state of the club. He talks about respect and disrespect thereof. He disrespected current managers, past managers, etc., etc. So, Gaskey, let's just... just sort of explain before we even dive straight into the quotes, sort of like explain your feelings around just the gall, the notion to even do this interview.
Like, it just amazes me that someone, if we don't think about football for a second, someone who is employed by a company or a football team, in this case, can, while under contract in the middle of his job, just decides, I want to basically completely slag them off. I just don't get how you think that's right, no matter how you're feeling. To me, you do this stuff behind closed doors. Like, past players have had issues in terms of like football related, and they do it behind closed doors. But why? I just don't get it. Why? To start with,
genuinely, I have zero clue. I've no idea. Well, actually, no. I probably do. We'll get into the quotes in a second. Now, but there's a lot. I've seen some people trying to defend this behaviour, which is mad. But basically, the way they're sort of defending it is, oh, look, he's bringing out sort of points against the Glazers and the way the club's run and all that stuff. For example, there's a quote he makes about the infrastructure and the chefs. I'm going to get into the quotes right now, actually, just because I do want to cover this. So this is a direct quote. I believe that lots of fake quotes came out, but I'm pretty sure I've got the real ones here. And he said, "Nothing changed since I left. The pool, the jacuzzi, even the gym, even some technology, even the chefs who I appreciate, lovely people. I thought I would see new technology, infrastructure. I saw things I saw when I was 20. So he's making a point there about how the club's in a bit of a state. And some people have applauded him for that and gone, oh, he's bringing the truth about the Glazers and the stuff and We already knew all this. We already knew that United was in a shambles and a mess. And also, as a player, if you're signing for a new club, surely you do your due diligence. And so he would have known all of this going in. He'll have seen it externally as well.
Yeah, you're in medical. You're there with the technology. So
yeah, so it's just really interesting that it's taken him over a year to call this out, but he would have signed on and signed for United, knowing that this was the case. So Gaskey, now let's get into the quotes now. Like, which ones have particularly, like, upset you, annoyed you, or which do you just like think are absolutely out of order?
Well, like you said, these ones, the ones about the club and the way the club, like, not investing in it, that he's not wrong. He isn't. Like, he's correct with what he's saying. But again, it's timing. You're contracted by them. But so you can't sit there and just slag them off to the media that it's, horrendously run and all that stuff. But the ones that irritate me the most is, how can you disrespect your manager? That is the one that infuriates me. Like, you can talk about, this is how I feel about the way the infrastructure is, this and that, and slag out, like the comments against Rooney, like, what's he done? He's just made his comments based on the questions he was asked about him, saying he needs to sort his attitude out, which is just, giving his opinion, like he's like Ronaldo's doing now. But one difference is one's employed by them, one's not. So one can say what he wants. But the Ten Hag one's just like, what is he saying? He's been disrespected. Like, but I don't know the truth behind the whole like thing with his daughter, being ill. That's apparently why he wasn't back for pre-season. Fair enough. And apparently they didn't believe him or something. I don't know. But you're not fully fit. You've come back from pre-season. You're not going to play until you're fully fit. You're not being good enough on that football pitch. So why should you start? Ten Hag's clearly the man who doesn't matter what your name is, you are not playing if you're not performing. Simple as that. It's clear that he's got players there that are playing much better. I can see, as a fan, the difference in like just happiness. Like, some of these players who I've seen struck for 2 years are actually smiling. Like, I've never seen Martial smile in my life. And I've seen him smile the most this season, which tells you he's enjoying it under this manager. There's competition in places. The players are fighting for each other. You can tell the passion, especially in the defence. And, there's just passion there. And it's as if he knows his ego is that big. He's not happy with that. He's not happy with the fact that it's not about him. And he's not playing. I need to make it like Tottenham game. He's probably seen, shit, they're playing really well. I need to make this about me now. Bye-bye. And then, again, Garnacho, this 18-year-old, who looks like he's going to be an absolutely fantastic player, has just scored the winner, place is buzzing. Let's release the interview now. To make it about me again. I just don't get it. So how can someone have such an inflated ego is beyond me.
Yeah, he's sort of coming across. I mean, he's obviously having a temper tantrum and throwing his toys out of the pram, but he's sort of coming across as a man who can't deal with the fact that he's no longer the player he was like 10 years ago or something. Like, he's 37 years old, and he's acting like he's still 27 years old in terms of like this disrespect talk about, I should be assuming he wants to like play more. And not just be a bit part player. The fact of the matter is, Sunshine, the team are playing better without you. And as you say, he's clearly not a team player, because if it's not all about him, he doesn't actually care if the team are winning. He'd definitely be the sort of player where if United lost 2-1, but he scored a goal, like, he'd be happy. Do you know what I mean? Like, he'd be like, well, I scored a goal. Yeah. So,
well, here's one for you, right? If he had started every game this season and scored a goal a game, would he have this interview, and will this interview have been released?
Well, definitely not. Definitely not.
No, exactly. I don't think he would have, because he wouldn't the manager's even not picking, he's even sitting on the bench. He's been fined and been pushed out for basically, he's already been warned once in pre-season for leaving early. All the players got warned, because apparently loads of them did it. None of them have done it again, and he's done it again, so he's been dropped. Doesn't matter what your name is, and that's good. I know he's got his own little cult following of people that no matter what club he plays for, they love him, and he can't do no wrong. He could probably kick someone and they won't care. He could
do a Cantona kung fu kick.
Exactly, yeah. But they'll just still follow him, and he probably loves that. He loves the fact that he's got that following, and he knows these people are going to follow him wherever he goes. And and it's not good for the club. It's the fact that I do feel that with Ten Hag, United have the best manager they could have had since post-Fergie, based on the fact that he's taking no prisoners with players. He's not interested. Like, Malacia had a good start to the season. I think it was at the City game. It was awful. He's not playing. He's not started since. And Shaw's come in, and Shaw's been brilliant, perfect. You've got that competition at left back, and he's happy to do that. He's not just going, "Oh, he's my favourite. I'm playing him." He's dropped the captain, for God's sake. Yeah. That's clear how he's seen that he's not good enough. To me, that's a manager with balls, and that's what you want to see. And dropping Ronaldo also shows big balls, and that's great. And he obviously can't stand that. Can't stand not being the main man. Well, he needs to go somewhere then where he is bigger than the club, pretty much.
Yeah, we'll have at the end of this segment, we'll have a chat about what is next for Ronaldo, because I think it's safe to say his Manchester United second career is now over. I'm just going to read out the Erik Ten Hag quote that we were just talking about there. He said, "Yes, not only the coach, Ten Hag, but another 2 or 3 guys around the club. I felt betrayed. Yes, I feel betrayed, and I felt some people don't want me here, not just this year, but last year too. I don't have respect for him," that's Ten Hag, "because he doesn't show respect for me. If you don't respect me, I'm never going to have respect for you." Very odd situation there. Look, if there is some personal stuff about his ill child, then maybe it is justified, but we don't know nearly enough about what happened in the inner workings of United to know. So it's just a mad interview. But it's not. But Ten Hag wasn't the only one that caught heat in terms of managers. Also, Ralph Rangnick was not safe. This is another quote from him. After the club sacked Ollie, they bring sporting director Ralph Rangnick, which is something nobody understands. This guy, he's not even a coach. A big club like United brings a sporting director, surprised not only me, but all the world. If you're not even a coach, how are you going to be the boss of Man United? And then this is the worst bit. I'd never even heard of him. So, which is just outrageous disrespect. I might be wrong, but when did United play Schalke in the Champions League quarter-final or semi-final?
20 left. It was 2011.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because Rangnick was managing Schalke.
If he was managing the team he was playing against, no, it was 2011. I think he'd left.
But that's just unnecessary. I mean, that's just done. What's Ralph? I feel so sorry for Ralph, man.
It's clear as day, right? You can ask anyone, because think about it, right? Herrera's done it. I know Herrera left, and he had an interview and stuff talking about how it's a shame with what's going on at United. And he did it in a nice way and said that he'll always be there for the club if they need him, that type of thing. Ibrahimovic said it in the nicest way he could say. And Ibrahimovic has got a massive ego, but he doesn't go around having interviews like that, And all the players have done it. And, it's clearly there's a huge issue now, and it needs a lot of a revamp. And we don't, until that happens, God knows what'll happen. But it's just to do it while you're contracted to them is remarkable. Absolutely remarkable, to be honest with you. And him doing it now is obvious. World Cup's coming up. I have no intention of playing the next 2 games this year. Transfer window opens. I want to leave.
Yeah.
And he's probably thinking, I'll get them to buy me out my contract if I slag them off enough. Whereas United are now going to try and get legal action and find a way. How can we get him? Is this breach of contract? Can we terminate his contract based on this?
Yeah, for me, it's a cowardly move by Ronaldo. As you're saying, the timing is far too convenient. Like, it's obviously orchestrated and intentional, and it's just sort of, it's obviously a smokescreen, because you say yourself, Herrera's called out United, Zlatan's called out United, everyone's called out United. Literally, just bump my mic there. It seems everyone knows about the issues at United. This isn't new information, so I saw it online. I saw some YouTube videos where people are championing Ronaldo, going, he's slagging off, the manager, and that's bad, but at least he's calling out the Glazers and the club and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we already knew that. Like, this isn't new information. Ronaldo saying it doesn't mean shit all. It's just a smokescreen and a guise, so he can just mask it as the main issue I'm having a go at is the club, and I'm just gonna air all my dirty laundry out at the same time. It's the most transparent, embarrassing strategy from Ronaldo I've ever seen. I've got one more quote here. Well, I've got 2 more actually, but another one here. It's a really weird one from Ronaldo. I mean, all these are weird. I think the fans should know the truth. I want the best for the club. This is why I came to Manchester United. But you have some things inside that don't help us reach the top level as City, Liverpool, and even now Arsenal. A club of this dimension should be top of the tree, in my opinion, and they are not, unfortunately. And the bit that gets me, I mean, first of all, I think the fans should know the truth. They already know the truth, and I think there's another. It's not here, but I think there's another quote where he says something like, I think he basically said the fans are on my side. And it's like, I'm sure most fans are not on your side in this situation.
Put it this way: after his situation with Tottenham, every fan was like, "That is unacceptable." Some people said, "You do not sub Ronaldo on in the 89th minute. Don't give a shit what your name is. The manager's choosing who comes on and when." Simple as that. And he came back the next game, and they were cheering him because it's Ronaldo. It's Ronaldo, and he was a club legend. He's like, people make mistakes and stuff like that. Simple. But But then to then come out with these saying the fans love you after this, not a chance.
Yeah.
There's diehard fans at United that have been going there for 40, 50 years. They've seen Cantona, they've seen Rooney, you've seen your Van Nistelrooy, they've seen every big player United have had. There'll be another player after Ronaldo. Simple as that. It says, even though I know he's one of the greatest players ever, but it says at the end of the day, he needs to bugger off.
He's not bigger than the club, is he?
No, he's not. That's Sir Alex Ferguson's words. Even Roy Keane's contract got torn up, and he hasn't slagged them off this badly.
Mm-hmm.
Beckham, as soon as Beckham married Victoria on the front page of all the magazines rather than the back page of the newspaper scoring goals, he got rid of him and said, nope, don't want that in my team. He hasn't slagged them off. So clearly, I know they were more Fergie, but also it's a club situation. Mm-hmm. Even after that, he's still, like you said, he's saying stuff that we already know, but he's doing it while under contract.
Yeah. So, and just to further his weird agenda of trying to have a go at everyone. Just going back to that quote for a second, the fans bit we just touched on. I want the best for the club. This is why I came to Manchester United. Well, that's just not true. No offense. I mean, I think we all know by this stage, and this is even confirmed by Ronaldo in this interview where he brings up, I mean, this was all conjecture and rumour at the time. Lots of journalists said it, but at that point it was just journalists, so it wasn't concrete. But there was about, Ronaldo coming to City, but then allegedly Fergie stepped in and spoke to him. And Ronaldo's come out and said that's true. And he said that Fergie chatted to me and I was like, okay, I'll come to United then. So that definitely happened 100%. So him saying I want the best for the club, that's basically why I came to Manchester United. No, it's not. The reason why he came to United was because, and this sounds harsh, but no one else wanted him. City pulled out the deal. Like, his agent was trying to flog him off to PSG and Real Madrid, and another club which evades my memory.
He said, wouldn't it, at the end of the end of his time at Juventus, he said he was looking for a club, and that was up in air. So that's 6 to 8 weeks looking for a club, and it took till the last week of him potentially joining City to then United in the space of a day. It was obvious that something had changed him, which must have been, and the rumours were Fergie. That makes sense.
Yeah, And then there was also the most recent summer. Again, I'm inclined to believe this is true. His agents apparently, reaching out to the likes of Atletico Madrid and Napoli and all these other clubs, going, do you want him? Do you want him? And them going, no, we don't want him because it's too much money and he's old and it's not really worth our time. So for me, Ronaldo is acting like a player who has more options than he really has got. I don't actually know where Ronaldo goes after this. In fact, I think this makes it even less tenable because even if you were a club, first of all, you've got to deal with the wage and you've got to deal with the fact that he's old and doesn't actually offer that much overall in team play. But now you've got to deal with the fact that he's a little petulant baby who does mental interviews where he has a cry about the state of play. So why would you want to bring in that toxic personality into the dressing room? Exactly. I don't get it.
And someone at the age of 37.
Yeah.
Like you said. You're going to have him for a year and you could literally just crumble the whole team wherever he goes. So
it's absolutely bizarre.
Yeah. So I think he's going to be in for a shock in January. That the only places he could probably go to is the Middle East. That will
potentially, yeah. Certainly, I can't really think of a Champions League club that would want him and two want to pay that much for him. The whole
he wants to play. He wants to play in Europe. He wants to play in the Champions League. End of the day, that's what he wants. Yeah. That's what he's wanted, right? And he probably thought, okay, United will do. Let's get him back in the Champions League. Didn't work. I wanted to leave. Simple as that. Then he had but then he's obviously found the way that obviously the stuff about his daughter, if it is true, that was happening. Then maybe you say if it was affecting that much, maybe you say I'm not going to come back. Then I'm struggling. Which is what you're trying to say. So
I could see a lesser team taking him on, for example, Sporting Lisbon, but that would involve Ronaldo having to heavily cut back on his wages and the arrogance of that man.
I don't think his ego will do that.
That's what exactly. And just speaking of arrogance and ego, this is the last quote I wanted to touch on. Again, just unnecessary fire here. This is him about Wayne Rooney. I don't know why he criticises me so badly. Probably because he finished his career and I'm still playing at a high level. Okay, that's all right. That's fair enough. But no, he goes one step further. I'm not going to say I'm better looking than him, but it's true. It's just the most unnecessary. I mean, that's just bullying at this point. It's just outrageous.
That is just handbags at the ready, isn't it? It's just like
it's like a child. It's just.
No, it is. I think that actually came from. I think Rooney said something about. I think it was to do with the Tottenham situation.
Right.
So I think this interview must have been after that. And he said something about, he needs to kind of grow up. And look, he says, you play for Man United, they should be at the top. You don't need people like that. Simple as that, which is fair.
Bizarre.
Made a fair point.
Yeah.
And
insane. Insane. Ronaldo is a madman.
I just hope that United there's enough there for them to get him out of his contract without paying him a penny. Yeah. Or you keep him and you make him play for the third team, or you make him train on his own. Simple as that.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if there was something in his contract about, unauthorized interviews or basically, What's that, sorry?
Being a cock.
Yeah.
You're a cock, you're out.
Or, like doing libel or slander against the club or something. It wouldn't surprise me at all if there was something written into his contract. There's definitely no way back for Ronaldo. He's played his last game for United. This is almost unprecedented, this situation. And I don't even really know what he was hoping to achieve with this. For me, all it's done is ensure he'll never play for United again, and has tainted his legacy, and means that probably the incredibly tiny pool of clubs that would have wanted to sign him on got even smaller. Yeah. Last thing I want to ask about this, Gaskey, and then you can have any final thoughts on it, because you're obviously a United fan. Is he still United legend, or is this obviously a bad interview? It taints it a bit, but is he still a legend at the end of the day, or what do you think?
I think it's one of those situations where, in the now, it's not good for him. But if you think about past players who have had, different types of issues, they're still legends.
Yeah.
So I think in 10, 15 years, you will look back at how good he was at United and stuff, but then you also go, yeah, he kind of is shit with him leaving. But I think it'd be like Gansard did, he's a kicking thing and he had that issue. And then Maradona was a bit of a cock as well, but you don't think about that side of him. You think about how good of a footballer he was. Mm-hmm. George Best was an alcoholic, but you don't talk about it. You talk about how good he was at football. Things like that. So, I think give it years, he will, people just mask over it and talk about how good he was and stuff like that. But yeah. But at the moment, I think he's probably hated by a majority of the fan base now.
Is that you included?
I mean, not hated. It's just like, I always felt like he should have gone in the summer. He didn't need to be there, especially with what Ten Hag wanted and the way I could see him getting and playing in pre-season. And it just doesn't help. Ten Hag's had to deal with in the first 6 months more than any manager should have to deal with from a off the field type of thing. So,
100%. Poor guy. Poor guy. Any final thoughts on that Ronaldo situation, Gaskey, or if you've got your age out of the way?
That's me done.
There we go. And that is the CR37 situation.
It's all here and it's all football, all the time.
Let's now get into the roundup of the week's matches. Gaskey did just touch on the United situation where Garnacho scored the winner and then Ronaldo decided to take his limelight. It was Fulham 1, United 2. Fulham potentially being robbed of a point, Gaskey?
Yeah, I think so.
Fair play. But Garnacho, how excited are you? Because I've not seen any of him, barely. So how excited are you for him?
Ironically, he reminds me of when Ronaldo first came on the team.
Okay.
The way he plays. No fear, just... I know how I love my football. I want to play direct, and he just likes to run at players. He knows what he can do, but obviously with what, like I think Bruno said it, Toney said it, it's just his attitude. Because I think at the start of the season he was being late and things like that. It's like he needs to concentrate. He wants to be the best player. He needs to concentrate on his football, and I think he has a lot of potential to be a very, very good player. So
he's a left winger, is he?
Yeah.
Interesting, and he's young. Is he Argentinian? Is that right?
Yeah, he got him from Atletico Madrid.
Okay, interesting, exciting stuff then for Manchester United potentially. But they're a bit stacked on the left wing now, aren't they? Really. So there's Rashford, Garnacho, and Sancho as well.
Yeah. it's a weird one. I feel like he knows with Rashford he can put him anywhere he wants across the front three, which he kind of, depending on how you want to play. Knowing you can move him up front if needed and you can play him off the last man. Yeah, that's fine. My only concern from the last 2 games is they've gone very direct, like route one over the top to someone running in. I don't know where that's coming from. Like, they've played some good passing balls and that's just began. So, bit of concerns there, but I mean, you can tell that they're going elsewhere. Like Martinez is just ridiculous at centre back. Like, they've needed a no-nonsense centre back since Vidic, and I feel like they've got one. So that adds to the defence. Lindelof's just not good enough. I didn't realise how slow he was.
Just speaking of not good enough, does Sancho need to watch his back? Because with how well Garnacho's playing, Sancho struggled last season, fair enough, because different league, different club, etc., different expectations. But he's not really kicked on as much as I thought. Yeah. I think I predicted him to be the most improved player this season. And if anything, he's gone backwards.
I did as well. I just thought with a new manager and whatnot, and the way he wants to get him to play, that he will become a more direct player. Because you can see when Anthony plays, what he wants to do, he just wants to run at them, and which is what you want from your wingers. You want them to go and push the defence back, run at them, which is what Garnacho's been doing. And that's what Anthony does. But funny enough, he reminds me of Ashley Young. He'll run forward, do a few step overs, turn back, rather than try and beat the man. And it's like, show what you can do, what you're capable of doing. But yeah, and to me, it's clear that Ten Hag's first choice at number 9 is Martial. Because Martial will run between and he'll come and collect it and connect the play up. And he's very good at that. And then obviously Rashford on the left. But Martial's obviously injury prone. Rashford would then be chosen at number 9. And if he's not careful, Garnacho will be going in left wing over him. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, you never know, do you? I mean, it's a lot of money for him to flop, and he's young, so he's still got a chance, but he needs to pull his socks up, basically. Yeah,
for sure. And he was left out of the World Cup squad as well, so maybe that's the kick up the arse he needs. I'm not sure, but that is Manchester United. Wolves 0, Arsenal 2. Odegaard with a brace, a second half brace to take Arsenal 5 points clear going in to Christmas, which is a huge lead. We're just over a third of the way into the season. We've played 14 to 15 games, depending on what team you are. So we're just over a third of the way into the season. The league table is starting to take shape now. As I say, 5 points clear is not it's not a tiny number at all. It's quite a large gap ahead of City, and Arsenal are 100% in a title race, and they are 100% title contenders. I think that's fair enough. I think anyone who says they aren't, I don't even know, because they just definitely are. Gaskey, I think you've got a comment you want to make about potential of Bottle.
Yeah, it's more of just what's your thought on at what point with Arsenal's lead, with how long they've been at the top for, is it where it has to be theirs to win or to lose? I don't know what's your opinion on how far through the season until you're at the point where the team at the top should win it, or you've bottled it.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I don't think you have that. I mean, unless it's an outrageous gap. I don't know. If it was somehow like 20 points right now.
Was it Spurs? But was it 8? Spurs were when they threw it away. I think they were 8, weren't they?
I think there was a season where Newcastle had like 14 or something like that under Kevin.
The one United beat them. I think it was
in the Kevin Keegan year. Yeah. So it's hard to define what a bottle is. For me, it's far too early for a bottle. I think so. For example, I would say, I mean, it's not. I can't put an exact definition, but for example, in the 11-12 season, when United were 8 points clear with 8 games left and they lost, that counts as a bottle. I think. I think I won't know until we get sort of like the last 10 games of the season. If we're 10 games in the season and they're like sort of like 6-7 points ahead.
Because I feel when you get to about February and you're at least, I would say, 2 or 3 as in matches ahead. So like if you're 8 points clear, which is you need to have 3 results go your way.
Mm-hmm.
Then I feel like then it's like you should win that, because you have to slip up 3 times. But when you're at the top by miles, you haven't slipped up that much all season. So yeah.
So I mean, maybe that gap will extend if City keep dropping points and Arsenal keep failing to drop points. But as it stands, they are the best team in the Premier League, and it's an outrageous turnaround for Mikel Arteta. He's a great manager. I'd love him as a future City manager. Everyone said Arteta out. Shame on you. I've always backed Arteta, and he's doing. They're going to finish at least second, I think it's fair to say, and they are definitely in a title race, 100%. But I do still think that City will win the Premier League title. I'm like 80% sure of that. We'll get onto City in a second. Got a quick question.
What did you start at? You're 80% now.
well, I predicted them to win just outright. So
you were 100. You dropped 20.
Yeah. Let's say 95, because you're never 100, are you? But let's say we've dropped from 95 to 80. I've got one question for Gaskey, because United fan. United have a number of rivals. Who would you rather win the Premier League? Arsenal.
There we go.
Who would you, as a United fan, who would you rather win the Premier League? Arsenal or Man City?
Team. It's a tough one because I thought about this because I thought it's going to be one of them two. I think I'm so used to City winning it now. I've become immune. To care.
Yeah.
But it's just Arsenal. I know every team has them delusional fans that just annoy you when you see them on social media and stuff. But I feel like Arsenal and Liverpool are the two teams where it stands out more compared to every other team. So I think I could deal with City winning because you don't see it as much.
We don't have any fans.
Just at the moment they're just pissing me off. Like it's just you'd think that in the space of a year they've now got the best team to ever exist, and it's just like no. I said you do really well done, but go out. All right.
Well, think of how much Arsenal fans annoyed you online when they weren't winning Premier League titles. Now think of how much they'll annoy you if they do win a Premier League title.
I mean, I just miss Arsenal fan TV over lockdown. That was fantastic. I was looking forward to Arsenal losing them days.
Well,
that's gone.
Let's hope for Gaskey's sake that City can win the league title, and for my sake as well, because I am a Manchester City fan. That's why I was a sad boy at the weekend, because it was Manchester City 1, Brentford 2. An embarrassing, humiliating performance and result by City at the Etihad. I've got a number of grievances with that game. I know lots of people have talked about the refereeing decisions. I've got no complaints about any of that. City are more than good enough to beat Brentford, and they should have beaten Brentford, and yet they did not beat Brentford. First of all, shout out Brentford and Brentford fans, by the way. There were loads of them at the Etihad, and I was very impressed because it was an early kickoff all the way from Brentford. A huge journey, so shout out to Brentford fans for that. But yes, so Brentford had a clear game plan, which was it was obvious to everyone. It was goalkeeper gets ball, goalkeeper kicks ball, ball lands on Toney's head. Who it's this movement, it's a flick like that. So it's like the ball, so he's like facing the play, he's holding off the defender or Rodri. There's a striker behind him, ball's coming to him, flicks it backwards on a run by his, I think he's Mbemo, don't know how you pronounce this. You know who I mean though. And that it kept working over and over and over again. The first goal happened because I think it was either Akanji or Laporte got beaten in the air. Just City could not deal with Toney in the air. Maybe Toney had a point to prove as well, not being picked for the World Cup. And I really didn't understand why, as good as Akanji's been this season, Ruben Diaz is our best defender in terms of being aggressive and being dominant in the air. That is his game. So I don't know why we played Akanji instead of Ruben Diaz, because Diaz would have been perfect for that. But hey, it didn't happen. But just in general as well, City were just poor. Brentford were good defensively, yes. But even before Brentford scored, they should have been 2-0 up. Ederson made 2 really good saves. Brentford then obviously scored, as I've just discussed. But City, from a creative standpoint, was so poor. I think De Bruyne had the worst game I've ever seen in play, kept giving the ball away. And it wasn't even a case of Brentford pressed him and forced him into errors. There were just unforced errors. It was really weird. It was just errant balls over and over and over again. Balls, Haaland wasn't stopped, but because balls was still, he was in good positions, but the cross was either just over him or the pass was just ahead of him or just behind him, and Haaland didn't look fully fit at all. He looked like he wasn't making anywhere near the number of runs he normally makes. I think he still got an injury there, and City were punished, and rightly so, and if you want even more analysis, go watch my match day vlog on it, where I have like a sort of like 8-minute rant about it. But yeah, and the Gaskey, is it sort of like, is it unfair for me to it might be unfair for me to question players, integrity, etc. Do you think that there's a potential World Cup factor here with some of the performances you saw this weekend?
I think so. I think some players will not go that extra edge, knowing that they've got especially players like obviously I know Maddison went off injured, didn't he? Well, it was more precaution, but especially when you've been picked, when you're not always getting picked and you've got this chance, you're going to pull out, aren't you? You're not going to throw yourself in completely into tackles. I can imagine, if I was going to look, I wouldn't. I would be like, I wouldn't go on. I'm going to go on that extra edge. I could feel a bit of a twing in my leg. I'm not going to push too much. I can imagine players would act like that, because even when watching City play, a lot of the time it was like they were passing around the edge of the box, and usually they'll do a 1-2 into the box and someone to make a run, and that wasn't coming. And then I think I watched in the last 10 minutes about 4 shots where they were just passing around the edge of the box and hitting it with a shot over the bar, and it was just like, it's as if they're not making that run to get into the box, as if they just, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So maybe there is a factor there.
Yeah, I'm not trying to use that as an excuse, by the way. And if that is the case, then it speaks of a poor mentality from the City players, because your mind should be on the here and now. I don't know how much of that play. It may have been even like a subliminal thing in the back of their mind. Like, oh, it's the World Cup next week, I'm excited. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure, but either way, City. When it was 1-1, it took there were 10 minutes out of their time because Laporte got a very bad head injury, got a big cut to his head. When it was like 1-1. I was like, we've got away with one here, because we do not deserve to get a point from this game, and City were rightly punished in the 98th minute. It should have been worse as well, because like a minute later they gave the ball away again, and it's only De Bruyne back. Why is it only Kevin De Bruyne back defending? No idea. And then even for the second goal, it's Gundogan and Haaland who were the two players acting as the centre backs. Where is it? I just don't understand what happened there.
Yeah.
But there you go. City rightly beaten. Arsenal getting the win does mean that Arsenal push 5 points clear in the top of the table. Brentford doing absolute bits. And let's just so congrats to Brentford. And then I just want a one-word one from you, Gaskey. Wilson or Toney? Which one would you have taken to the World Cup?
Ooh, tough one. They're both a bit different. Based on the season, I probably would have taken Toney, because Kane's going to play every minute unless he gets injured. So really, your backup you want is whoever's been best performing. So I'd probably say Toney or Wilson. But for me, I'm not too aggrieved by who they've picked between them two. That's fair enough.
Yeah. That is fair enough. I guess maybe you might want to take Toney just because he's more similar to Harry Kane than Wilson is, maybe. So if you want to like for like,
I think Wilson's one of them where he's more, I'll play off the last man. But then I think I'd rather had Rashford do that than him. Mm-hmm. So it's a bit of an iffy one.
Speaking of iffy, Southampton are probably destined for relegation. They did sack their manager Hassan Hutel recently. They lost 3-1 against Liverpool. Darwin Nunez doing very well, getting a brace there. It's been pointed out by a few Liverpool fans. Alisson's had to make a fair few saves in that game, and he's actually he's near the top of the charts in terms of saves this season. So, which isn't good if you're an elite level club, because elite level team, because you don't want your keeper to make any saves, because you should be able to deny that pressure. So it does, even though it was an impressive win, it does still potentially speak to the frailty at Liverpool this season. On the other side of Merseyside, Everton lost 3-0 against Bournemouth. That's a huge game for Bournemouth in terms of their relegation fight, and Everton are slowly... They had a great start to the season, Gaskey, but they're being dragged down into the relegation zone.
Yeah, was it like 5 or 6 games of the season they had the best defensive record?
Yeah, something like that.
And now, did you see what happened at the end of the game with the fans as well?
Where it popped off.
The fans were really unhappy, and I think apparently Iwobi threw his top into the crowd and they threw it back. So
didn't see that.
What they feel.
Yeah, it's a very odd situation there. I really don't think Lampard will last the whole season.
He'll be gone next, I reckon.
Yeah, and they're currently in 17th, so that's one position off the drop.
I mean, for Everton, what Everton want with the new owners and stuff as well, especially when you've got someone like Pochettino who's available, you'd think, can we get him?
Yeah.
I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was speaking to an Everton fan. It was yesterday. Ed, shout out, and we were talking about, what manager would you want after Lampard, and he was like, "Oh, can't aim too high." But I mean, they got Carlo Ancelotti the other season, so they can aim high. They can aim high.
Who just took over at Villa? Who just took over at Wolves?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, yeah.
Everton are on a similar level to Villa in terms of, let's say, club size.
Yeah, definitely. I don't see why, Thomas Tuchel, for example, genuinely, why not?
I think, well, to be fair, apparently Tuchel needs a job before December, or he's out of the country. Apparently.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's true, but
interesting.
Yeah, so
very interesting. Yeah, so
I think Everton have the pull to get Tuchel or Pochettino.
Yeah, and the amount of money that's in the Premier League, and the fact they've got a new stadium next year or the year after, I think. So
whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, so which is going to have more, get more seats and more match day income. It's a potentially exciting project.
Well, it might be in the Championship, but...
Well, yeah. But hey, here's the thing. Speaking of the Championship, and a team that could be there next season, Nottingham Forest, but they did beat Crystal Palace 1-0. It was a penalty, I believe, in the end. There, crucial 3 points for Forest. I still have
Zaha missed one as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I still have a suspicion. Palace will be fine in mid-table. Forest, I think, despite the win, I think they're still going to get relegated.
Palace, I forgot they played on the Premier League team because they finished like 12th, don't they? Yeah,
exactly. Classic mid-table. Spurs 4, Leeds 3. Gaskey, Spurs either win 1-0 or 4-3. This is not tenable, is it? They can't keep this up.
No, not from both, even from Leeds' point of view. I feel sorry for Leeds fans. I reckon they're going to need pacemakers or something. They're having heart attacks watching them play, not knowing which side they're going to be on these massive results. But yeah, like with Spurs, it's just there's no. To be honest with you, I do not know how they're fourth. I do not know. It is the way. Without sounding too critical of them, they're just shit.
No, you are.
There's no idea. Like, it doesn't seem like there's a game plan. It's just, let's wing it and see what happens. Like you said, they're either going to go, we'll nick a goal, win 1-0, or they concede 3 and somehow Benson Court scores 2 in 2 minutes. So I just don't know. I just don't know what's going on there. It's weird.
I don't know how they're fourth either. Basically, every time I've seen them this season, they've been very fortunate if they've got a result. And when they aren't fortunate, they get pounded. For example, against Manchester United, they just got bullied in that game. I just don't think it's sustainable. I don't think you can do this for the whole of the season. You are going to get found out eventually. Brighton 1, Aston Villa 2. Very impressive comeback from Aston Villa. Brighton took the lead in that one, but Unai, the good evening merchant, gets an impressive win against a very tricky Brighton side. So, it's early days, but I do think it's already sort of demonstrating the inexperience and naivety of Steven Gerrard as a manager is no match for the European pedigree that is Unai Emery.
I did notice in that game as well, and it's a grievance of mine because it's been a problem in football for a long time. It's time wasting. Emi Martinez in goal for Villa must have took forever to do anything from since half time, and he didn't get booked till the 85th minute. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like referees have just let them do it.
Yeah, I hate time wasting.
With Newcastle at Old Trafford, I think apparently the ball was in play for about 50 odd minutes or something, even less maybe. And it's ridiculous. I feel like the referees are just too lenient with it. Just need to be strict and book them. Give them one warning and book them, and then they'll soon start.
Yeah, I agree. Because what's the point of booking a keeper in the 85th minute? There isn't one because he's.
Okay, I've done my job. I'll speed it now.
Exactly. It's just stupid. West Ham 0, Leicester 2. Very, very weird. This is so weird. Like a few weeks ago or a couple months ago, we were talking about how Leicester. They might get, they're in the relegation zone. They're doing so poor. Brendan Rodgers is going to get sacked imminently. It's like 4 wins from 5, and that loss was only against Man City and a literally 100% unstoppable De Bruyne free kick. So Leicester have had the turnaround of the ages. Maddison's doing absolute bits. Maybe he heard he was not going to get in the World Cup squad and was like, right, I've got to turn it up here. And West Ham, conversely,
going the wrong way.
Yeah, exactly. You could, they probably did. They did heavily overperform last season, but this is such a huge drop off, especially with all the investment. I think
I was going to say, yeah, investment, the amount that they've spent over the last, since Moyes came in.
It's close to like 200, it was close to 200 million quid this summer.
I think they're making the same error that Villa did a couple of years ago, where they've invested that much. It's like you've revamped the whole squad, but not the team, the squad, that I don't think anyone knows who's staying or who's going.
Yeah, it's really weird. Yeah. And Moyes out is a genuine possibility, which would have been unthinkable, last season when he got them to like the semi-final of the Europa League, was it? And
well, again, to me, that's another team in West Ham where Pochettino's available, Tuchel's available. You've got the pull to get him.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
got to be careful.
Yeah, very well, a huge fan base, very well attended matches, huge match day income. Obviously money to spend. We just talked about Scamacca, Paqueta. Aguerd, how you pronounce that? Areola, and other signings they've made. So there is money at West Ham. You feel like it's surely only. It's only a matter of time before they turn it around. Otherwise, it is going to be the end of David Moyes. And now I'm going to ask you for another prediction, Gaskey. So a month ago or so, we both said RAGES is going to get sacked this season. First of all, I don't think that's going to happen now. First, do you think that's going to happen? And follow-up question, is Moyes going to last the whole season?
Oh, it's hard to say because I wouldn't have thought Leicester would do this. And I don't think West Ham are going the other way. So, based on current, right now, I think RAGES will be fine. And I think Moyes needs to watch his back, because if he keeps... Because I know they got Europe and they did well in Europe and they're doing okay in Europe, but it's not. I keep forgetting that they're in the Premier League. That's the one game. Like, even when I was writing up our notes, that's the one game I missed because I forgot.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, they might not be in it for long. They're currently 16th in the table.
Well, need to be careful. But I don't. Yeah, it's hard to say. So you've put me on the spot here. I don't know. With Moyes, it's a weird one. It's in the lines, I think.
In the lines, there we go. Well, Newcastle... no idea what that link was going to try to be. I'm not even going to try it, never mind. Newcastle beat Chelsea 1-0. This is the last game to cover. Newcastle are doing exceptionally well. Conversely, Chelsea are doing outrageously bad. Gaskey, what are your sort of thoughts on the sort of the fortunes of both of these clubs?
For Newcastle to start with, I feel they have been... They were, even against Chelsea, they were incredible. They completely outplayed them. It wasn't one of them, they've nicked a goal or anything like that. They outplayed them. Chelsea were just horrendous. Do you have, again, they're a team that have no plan. They don't know what they're doing. So I don't know what to say. It's like there's no effort there. The only effort I see is coming from Pulisic, to be honest, from what I see. But I really don't know. Like I didn't think they'd be this bad. I think they're below Liverpool now, aren't they, as well?
Yeah.
So
it's yeah.
Well, Newcastle are just
flying.
Which out of Newcastle and Arsenal, who would you say have overperformed the most?
That's a mean question.
Because they both overperformed saying it in the nicest way possible. Because I don't
probably
think
Newcastle. I think Newcastle.
I would say Newcastle because Arsenal were always like top four and okay, they're at the top. But I don't think if you told a Newcastle fan that they'd be third going into Christmas, they probably would have bitten your hand off, wouldn't they?
And also like the performances as well. Like they've beaten Chelsea, obviously. They drew against City. They only just lost against Liverpool at Anfield in like the last second of the game. They've some really impressive performances, and
that's their only loss, isn't it?
Yeah,
they've lost one game.
Yeah, along with Arsenal, they've only lost one. So I mean, they're doing absolute bits. A huge congrats to Newcastle.
I mean, I said. I mean, I think Newcastle fans must hate me for talking about Almiron to start with, who's now just a different person.
Yeah.
And then also I said Eddie Howe won't get him past six, and then I'll get someone else in where it's the third. So he might prove me wrong as well. So yeah. Not
sure whether they'll be in the top four come the end of the season, just because they don't necessarily have the same amount of depth as other teams. For example, if Bruno Guimaraes gets injured, it's a pretty big drop off between. What's that? Sorry.
Matty Longstaff can't do that his job.
And it's the same thing, like with Trippier or Wilson long term or St. Maximin long term, or even Almiron in his current form.
To be fair, St. Maximin isn't even bloody playing, and they're playing this way. Isak's injured. It's they have got some depth there, but I think there's certain areas that they rely on where they don't have that. Yeah, like you said, Guimaraes can't come out of the team, otherwise they haven't got that box to box influence there.
Yeah, and then I'm just ending on Chelsea. Potter needs time. Potter will come good. Potter is a very good manager. None of these players are players he bought for Chelsea. Give the man some time, trust the process, and he will succeed at Chelsea. I'm sure of that. But that is the roundup of the football.
Every football team will be playing football several times and in various combinations.
Next thing we're going to do is a game, a mini game. It's higher or lower. This is where I give Gaskey a category, and I then give him a metric, and he's got to tell me whether the next metric is higher or lower than the previous one. It's a World Cup special because the World Cup is next week. So this is World Cup goals. And by World Cup goals, I'm not including qualifying. I'm talking about official FIFA World Cup tournaments. Okay? So it's simple. I'll give you the name of a player. I'll give you the name of a second player. You've got to say higher or lower, etc., etc. So, higher or lower, World Cup goals edition. Okay, R9 Ronaldo. Should I tell you the goals as well? No, no, I'm not going to. R9 Ronaldo is the first name. Okay. Gerd Muller, higher or lower?
Lower.
It is lower by 1. Well done, Ronaldo 15, Gerd Muller 14. Higher or lower, Gerd Muller or David Villa?
Lower.
It is lower, yeah, David Villa with the 9. Higher or lower, David Villa, Luis Suarez?
Lower.
It is lower, well done. It's 7 for Suarez. It's close, though. Higher or lower, Luis Suarez, Ian Robben?
Ooh. I don't remember Ian Robben scoring a lot. I'm going to say lower again.
It is lower again, well done. Yeah, it's 6. It's 6 for Robben. Higher or lower, Ian Robben, Christian Vieri?
You knob. How many World Cups would he have gone to? Oh. I'm gonna say lower.
Oh, it's higher, I'm afraid. But that's the only one you got wrong so far, though. That is 9. He had 9 World Cup goals.
He's got 9.
Yeah, and he only went to 2 tournaments as well.
Yeah.
And he only played in 9 games.
That's what I mean. I don't think he went to that many.
Yeah.
So I thought, how can he have more?
9 games, 9 goals. So it's quite a few for Christian Vieri. Yeah, higher or lower, Christian Vieri or Romario?
Oh, he's got to have lower.
It is lower, yeah, Romario on 5. Higher or lower, Romario or Lionel Messi?
How many has Messi got? Has he got more than that?
I don't know, mate.
How many did he score last time? I'm going to... He's got more than 5. I'm sure he scored 3 the last time. I'm going to say higher.
It is just by 1. Well done. It's 6.
All right.
I will just do a couple more. You've got basically all of these correct. Well done, by the way. So higher or lower, Lionel Messi or Tim Cahill? I'll
Higher than 6.
He played at 4 World Cups.
I think he's got 8. I'm going to say higher.
It's lower. It's 5, I'm afraid.
Oh! Swined him.
Higher or lower? Tim, we'll just go a couple more. Higher or lower? Tim Cahill or Eusebio?
Oh God, I don't know how many Eusebio's good. Higher.
It is. Yeah, it's 9. Well done. Higher or lower? Eusebio or Sir Jeff Hurst?
Ooh. Higher.
Jeff Hurst only had 5, I'm afraid.
He only scored 5.
But he did get 3 in 1966. That's all that matters. It's coming home. And then last one, higher or lower, Jeff Hurst or Diego Maradona?
Higher.
It is higher. Well done. 8 for Maradona. There we go. World Cup goal station. You got basically all of those correct. Well done.
Pretty wrong, yeah.
Yeah, well done. That was very impressive. And that is a quick mini game. We'll get back to Guess the Football in 60 seconds next week, sorry.
It is impossible to keep track of all the football, but your best chance is here.
NobGas. Questions from my Noblets, my sports on Patreon. The first one basically already covered. Ed asks, do you agree with Ronaldo based on the interview of Piers Morgan? But we covered that. Yeah, no. Basically, we covered that for about 20 minutes, Ed, so hopefully that answers your question. Jack asks a good question, and in fact, it's so good I'm going to have to get my... I'm going to get the World Cup groups and teams up, because he asks, who are your World Cup dark horses, and explain why. I'm just going to get all the teams out just so I can have a look-see. I can have a look.
I do have an already inkling who I think.
Okay. So I'm just going to have a look. See, so in Group A, no one from Group A. I don't think you can count Netherlands as a dark horse. Maybe Senegal you could count as a dark horse, but I just don't think they're going to get knocked out by England in the round 16. So no, that's not going to happen. England, Iran, USA, Wales. I could see USA qualifying and maybe getting to like a quarter-final, maybe a semi-final at a push, potentially.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any dark horses in Group C. Denmark in Group D, maybe. Group E. Group F. I don't know if there are many opportunities for dark horses this season. What are your thoughts, Gaskey?
I think a dark horse will be... Well, if you look at the run-through, you think the last 4 are going to be the countries you expect to be there. So I feel like with a dark horse, who do you think would be able to take one of them positions? For me, I think Uruguay, based on how some of the players are playing. Like Valverde's having the bloody season of his life to start with. And then, you got Darwin Núñez, who's playing well now. I feel like they've got a strong squad where they could surprise people. But yeah, it's different. I think it's difficult to call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that as a shout though. I do.
Yeah. And I feel like teams like Canada, who have just come out of nowhere, I personally think if they get out of the group, they've overachieved. Really,
yeah, definitely. So, I tell you what, this is actually something we chat about in the Discord server. I'm going to go with Serbia as dark horses. They've got a free scoring Mitrovic. They've got I'll tell you the main reason why, because apparently, if word on the street is to be believed, Milinkovic-Savic is the best player in the history of the universe. The amount of times he's linked to Premier League clubs. I've never seen this man.
United.
You're there. That's it.
He's been linked to United every year since Schneider retired.
Yeah,
and he wasn't getting linked to them anymore.
I feel like it's been 5-6 years. He's always been linked with a move to the Premier League. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen him play once. So I've always thought, well, can he really be that good if he's at Lazio? Like, surely, like a really big club would have come in and bought him if he's super good. You think
Juventus would have brought him, or a Milan club?
Yeah. So I think he's only got a one. I think after this season, he's only got 1 year left on the contract. So Serbia will get to the quarterfinals / maybe even the semi-finals, and it'll be Milinkovic-Savic will have the tournament of his life. He'll be the player of the tournament, yeah. He'll score like bare goals. I don't even know if he's on set pieces or not, but he'll score all the free kicks. And inevitably, one of Gundogan or Bernardo Silva will leave Man City in the summer. Sad times will be had by all, but he will become a Manchester City player. That's a bonus prediction for you there.
Like?
I do know what he looks like, to be fair. I know he's
the similar build, and I think he plays a similar style to Yaya Toure.
Yeah, I know he's a tall boy,
Yeah.
but I know literally nothing about him as a player.
And I partly wanted to be absolutely amazing at the World Cup, and you're like, oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Again, I've been told that he apparently plays a bit like Gundogan in terms of he makes late runs into the box and he goes,
Yeah,
he's that sort of
he's
player.
like an actual type of centre mid.
Yeah. So
he scores quite a lot.
Based on nothing, I would say Serbia because it's
Based on
interesting.
scored.
Exactly, yeah, and a bit of fun as well. Why not? It'd be fun to back a
Looking
mad team.
Looking at their group, though, it could be any of them three to go with Brazil.
Yeah, I think Serbia will qualify. I've predicted Serbia to qualify. To be fair, so
yeah, I just hope we get this. For Switzerland, I hope that fan from the Euros is on there. You know, who was like crying and then he had his top off.
Oh yeah,
and he was like, I hope he's back. I hope we find him.
And the final question, it's another good question from DR, who asks, would you rather have the Champions League every 2 years or the World Cup every 5 years? Now, I would rather have the Champions League every 2 years because I think 4 years for a World Cup is, I mean, when the mentalists were proposing the World Cup every 2 years, I hated that. No. 4 years is already a long time to wait for a World Cup, rightly so. But
I feel like 4 years for a World Cup leaves that gap for your European Championship or your Copa America in the gap, then go back to the World Cup again and the structure's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas 5 years, gosh, I mean, the amount of World Cups a player can have in a career is already very limited. So to extend that even further, you only have two. Only have two in 10 years. Conversely, I mean, obviously, you know, it's nice to have the Champions League every year, but I wouldn't be against the notion of sort of like qualification for the Champions League is based on like form over 2 seasons. So
yeah, or what about how they do the World Cup where they have a qualifying campaign instead of the actual tournament?
Yeah, so it's not just, you know, one season's relevant, one isn't.
Yes, you don't play any, like, I wouldn't like not playing any European matches for a year to then play them the year after.
Yeah.
Maybe qualifying, you get a group, you can qualify, and if you win your group, you're through to the Champions League next year. Yeah. I don't know.
And also, it would make the competition feel more special as well. I mean, it already feels special, but if you limit it to every 2 years, it makes it feel even more special. It also removes fixture congestion for those bigger clubs because it means they don't have to play as many games. Yes, I'd definitely be up for Champions League to every 2 years rather than World Cup every 5 years. But that's my thoughts, Gaskey. What about yours?
Yeah, I think I prefer the Champions League over the World Cup. Like 5 years for the World Cup. You know, like you said, you're limiting people who you get if you're lucky, 4 World Cups.
Yeah.
If you're not, you're losing one pretty much.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you know, an average elite player, you know, probably around 3, as you say, maybe 4 if you're lucky, maybe 5 if you're insanely lucky.
4 World Cups is 16 years of your career.
Yeah, so if you were a talent, so Mbappe, for example, he was like 18, so he'll get to play like 4, 5, whatever.
Because 4, or is it when you're 20 years of age? 4 is you're 4 for you technically be lucky because you'll be 36, and potentially, depending on where you play, you might not even get in the squad.
Yeah. So good question, guys. Thank you. And if you guys do want to be able to submit those questions and want to support the channel, you can do so by signing up to the Patreon. Link for that is just in the description of the video. But now, Gaskey, it is time. It's BallBusters. It's BallBusters time. Well done to both Jack and DR who got all 3 BallBusters answers correct. So well done. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, BallBusters is a quiz. I give you the names of 3 players, footballers, past or present, with the initials and a cryptic clue. You've got to guess the footballer from the clue, and you've also got to write your answer as a YouTube comment to win the prize. These were the ones from last week. The first one was LM. Over there, one of the people who police Discord servers is wealthy. And Gaskey, do you want to talk me through these ones?
Luke, that mod is rich.
Look, a mod is rich. Luke, a mod is rich. Luke, a mod's rich. That is a great one, I must say. SK, that tragic one from the In-Betweeners, he seems to mind a lot.
Simon cares.
Simon from In-Betweeners, he's a tragic one, and he cares. Simon care, Simon care. How do you pronounce his name? And the next one, CL.
I hate this one.
That French lower body team is really lengthy.
So the club is Clermont Foot.
Yes, because it's the lower body, the foot.
And something that's lengthy would be your long leg. Clermont long leg.
Clement Longley. Long leg, Longley. Well done. Gaskey got all of those really quick. They're so good, less of that. And
the third one took Google of League One teams.
Diar and Jack got all of those correct. Well done, guys. So Gaskey, a number between 1 and 2, please.
Ooh, let's go with... I don't have a coin, so we're going to go with 2.
You've gone for 2, and that is Jack. Well done, Jack, for winning this week.
He said he wanted me to let him win.
There you go. You'll get the exclusive role in the Discord server and Nob Coins tab. If you could please sort that out, that'd be lovely.
First new first timer?
Potentially. I'm not. Although he may have won it before because he does normally take part. But yeah, guys, if you want to take part, all you've got to do is leave your comment with the answers. Really, it's that simple. These are the ones for next week. The first one is SM. My upset waves are rich. The next one is AV. A Jamaican hammer swims in the Turia River. And the next one is M. I'm defending a stallion. Make sure to get your BallBusters answers in as a comment. I'll also leave a pinned comment with them written out so you can have a look at them if that helps your brains. But guys, that is the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We ranted about Ronaldo. We talked about Arsenal's title aspirations and City losing against Brentford, as well as World Cup goal scorers. Next week, well, in fact, later this week, the World Cup is starting. Stay tuned on the El Nobbins FC channel, chaps, because this Friday, my Qatar World Cup video, which explores the corruption of FIFA and the World Cup controversy in detail, is going to get uploaded. I'll basically be doing a watch along every single day, at least one watch along basically every single day for the World Cup. Yeah. Yay. And Gaskey is going to join me for at least one of those. We're going to start with the Wales game.
USA one, we'll do.
The USA one against England, and if Gaskey enjoys it, then he might come back for more. Who knows? So yeah, stay tuned.
That's the fans. They might be like, oh, get this guy off. He's bad enough as it is on an on-demand video, never on live.
But there we go, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Gaskey, you enjoyed yourself. You got your rant out of the way. Aired some grievances.
Yeah. Hopefully, I don't have to have that prick again. So yeah, it's World Cup's upon us. Yeah. So let's look forward to watching it come home.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Love that. It's coming home. And we will be doing our World Cup predictions next week. A few matches will have transpired by that point, but we'll do our full World Cup predictions in the next podcast. Yeah. Do stay tuned for that. And stay tuned for a number of World Cup podcasts to come. Hopefully, England don't let us down too much. Hope you enjoyed the podcast, guys. Give us some feedback in the comments. Let us know if you enjoyed it or not. If you didn't enjoy it, let us know why, and we'll try to improve. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.